Hi, I'm Karnik. This is Star Wars Armada Explained. Today I had a request, or not today, a little while ago, I had a request to cover an objective card, Navigational Hazards. I'm going to cover that card for you guys. So, Navigational Hazards, as an objective card, it's something that the first player picks from the second player. Out of the three that are presented to him. Of course, one of each color, one of blue, one of yellow, one of red. In this instance, we're going to say the first player is going to be the Imperial player here on the bottom. Second player is the Rebel player on the top. So the Imperial player has chosen or has been given the option of going first. He's given first. And he has picked navigational hazards, which reads, we're going to each read each. I'm going to read each section at a time. We're going to start with setup. So setup. Place obstacles as normal, excluding the station. Then the second player places the station in the setup area beyond distance 1 of all obstacles and beyond distance 5 of both players' edges. So what's the first thing that happens? Well, the second player yoinks the station, yoink, puts it on his side. It gets taken off the board. First player cannot place the station, only the second player does. And then the second player can only place the station after all other obstacles are placed. So we're going to go ahead and say, the obstacles get thrown all over the board, and they're all not within distance 1 of each other. Okay. So now we come to the end of the setup period of the card. Where we say the second player now needs to place the station in the setup area beyond distance 1 of all the obstacles, and needs to be beyond distance 5 of both players' edges, which distance 5 is the second horizontal line for both of them. So this is the area that would be applicable for the station to go into, as long as it's not within distance 1 of another obstacle, which is this black circle. That's distance 1. Red's distance 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. So that instance, that's too close. We can't put it there. But I could put it somewhere like there. So we're going to go with that. That station's going to go right there. Boom. Now let's read the rest of the card. It says, Special Rule. When a ship overlaps an obstacle and suffers 1 or more damage, or is dealt 1 or more damage cards, the opposing fleet's owner gains 1 victory token. And the victory tokens in this case, if you look in the bottom right hand corner of the card, they're worth 15 points each. So to just kind of give an example, say the ships have been deployed for both sides, and the Star Destroyer lands on this asteroid field. So according to the card, since he suffers a face-up, even if he suffers a damage or a damage card, that triggers the requirement for the Rebel player to claim a victory token. He gets 15 points. This also comes into effect, like for example, if the however it's managed to happen, it can happen sometimes if he lands on both 2 obstacles or more at a time. Again, you resolve the obstacles in the order of the player who's landing on its order. So, for example, say, he lands on the asteroid field, takes the face-up damage, and then he takes the 2 damage, then from the debris field on one of the hull zones of his choosing. Okay, so the Rebel player, being second, would then claim 2 victory tokens from that. Now, if you do land on the station in this example, okay, the station is not dealing any damage, it's not doing any damage, you do not get a victory token from it. Because again, the requirement is that you need to suffer damage. What are some things that can negate this special rule? Jaina's Light. If somebody is running Jaina's Light, which is a CR90 ship title, it has written in there that you may ignore all obstacle effects, meaning that if the CR90 can run over any obstacle it wants and not suffer the consequences from it. So that would be something that can ignore this. Another card that can ignore this is a card like Chart Officer. So Chart Officer is an officer card that you can discard to ignore. It's a one-time use card you discard to ignore an obstacle's effects. So there's some, very rare situations where potentially you could not take damage from that. But it all is circumstantial, and again, look at your cards and they'll essentially they'll be able to tell you if you can do that or not. Now, so that's the special rule. We know how we gain victory tokens and things like that. Now, what's the other? So we'll say that we've done some movement. Some of the ships have moved like this. All right. Whether if that's legal or not, I don't know. We're gonna say the ships move like that. However, they managed to accomplish that. Now, at the end of the round, so this is at the very very end of a turn. So this is technically in the status phase, at the very tail end of status phase or after status phase, technically. End of round, starting with the second player and alternating. Each player chooses one asteroid or debris field that does not have an objective token on it. Objective token on it. Oh, right. Yes. So, how do you keep track of? Because this allows you to move obstacles. So, how do you do it? So, each player chooses one asteroid or debris field that does not have an objective token on it, moves it to within distance 1 to 2 of its current location. Then he places an objective token on that obstacle. An obstacle cannot be moved, so it overlaps a ship squadron or other obstacle. At the start of the next round, remove all objective tokens from play. So the objective tokens is as you move these obstacles around, you place an objective token on them to make sure that you know that you've moved them already. So in this situation, we're going to say, player 2, he's going to move this debris field within, again, distance 2 is the red circle. So make it easier for us to see that. We're going to, I don't want to delete it. I want to clone it. I'm going to clone it. There we go. So he moves that distance 2, and then you delete the old one. And remember, so he's moved that, and then you would spawn a objective token on it to know that you've moved it. Nobody else can move it. We're going to say this Imperial players like, I want the station. So I'm going to get this station, and I'm going to clone it. Now remember, you can rotate it. You can rotate it if you want to, but remember, it has to stay within the original station's distance too, all right? Because even if you're rotating the station and making it do crazy things, it can only be within the original positioning of the original obstacle. And now that you've gotten into this objective, for example, if you did want to move this station to be right there within distance 1 of something else, totally allowed, because remember, the card only says as long as you're not overlapping another ship squadron or another obstacle, it can move there. So this situation, he's going to move the station, and he's going to put it right there. And again, we spawn the objective token, and then the second player is like, screw you, I don't like what you did. I'm going to move this this thing right here in front of the station as close as I can get it. So boom, and it can overlap the previous, like if you're using doubles, okay, it can overlap from its current location, because technically you're only moving the one piece. It can overlap itself, quote unquote. You can even, pick it up and place it in the same spot, kind of like, Maul or Mythal. You can pick them up, set them back down. Same thing with this. You can pick it up and put it right back down in the same spot. Technically, that is considered moving, even if it doesn't go anywhere. But in this situation, he's going to say, I'm going to move it. I'm going to rotate it to do a crazy shenanigan thing just like that. So even if that ISD wanted to come fly up and land on the station, probably a good chance he's going to hit that rock too. And so you do that for all of the tokens till everything has been moved, and then you go to start of the next round. So that is navigational hazards. The only thing that can affect this at the very start of a game is something like an interdictor's graph shift reroute. Obviously he can move those obstacles around. Then obviously at the end of the round, you can then adjust them from there. But essentially, if you run over obstacles, the opponent gets points. So don't do that. Don't give your opponent points. Make your opponent run things over so you get points. And you can use squads and things to kind of buffer your ship so opponents can't move things in front of your ships, and you can try to move obstacles in front of their ships. The issue is that sometimes you'll have your squadrons attacking a ship, and boy, it sure would be nice if you could move an obstacle in their way, but since you can't overlap squadrons, it's kind of like, it's definitely a hit and miss, this objective. But there are no other erratas or clarifications. Of course, if you feel like anything's wrong or something's an error, please be sure to point it out. Let me know about it. But I do appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Catch you guys later.